Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Whimsical Doc with IKL Patrick. So here we are again, and I know this weekly series has been mostly about horror and the darkness within lately, but I want to talk about something a little bit different this week. So, growing up, I was a big, fantasy fan. Really big fantasy fan. And, I remember reading the Harry Potter books, Eric, stuff like that. And then in college, that all kind of fell off for a while. But this book kind of threw fantasy back on my radar. And it's not Fairy Tale by Stephen King, oddly enough, even though I did enjoy that one. So I was in this is before I read Lord of the Rings, which I've read very, very recently. I was having just fun with horror in all its aspects. Think Nick Roberts, think John Durgan, think Gage Greenwood, Jen Osborne. So many different writers. Stephen King, Stephen Graham Jones. Uh, but this was my first real foray into modern epic fantasy. I found a book through a friend called Mistborn, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. And that was really cool. It was something that I had never really thought about before. Oddly enough, even though I think he's the second highest best-selling author or something like that, something crazy like that in the United States and in the world. But I had never heard of him before probably 6 months ago. And then I started devouring his writing. And first and this is the first one I want to talk about, which is Mistborn, or Mistborn, The Final Empire, I guess is the real name for the first one. And it's grungy, it's dark in ways, it's just all time, it messes with your mind. And I was going to do all three books in that first trilogy, then talk about the four books in the next trilogy. Or, it's not trilogy, quadrilogy? Whatever it's called. But I have a lot to say, because Mistborn is probably my favorite book in a long time. It's in my top three. That's wild to me because I didn't think that something so new would just pop in. So Mistborn was released quite a while back, but it kind of I hate that it took me so long to freaking find it. Like, come on. Like, let me set the scene. There's a world with a single ruler. He is all powerful, an immortal god. In the sky are the peasants, the slaves of the empire. And they are the ones who are taken advantage of. Like, literally, they are on plantations, they are urchins, they are not the nobility, they're completely different. And I love Brandon Sanderson's one sentence pitch. A man gets a team together to kill God. And that's what the road ruler is. But how cool is that if I'm going to sell you on anything, that is it. A thieving crew that gets together to kill God. Like, he's so good at that type of stuff, and that's exactly what we have here. The novel starts off with Kelsier. And you don't know who he is till the end, but he is at a plantation. He's trying to basically create a ska rebellion. A little girl gets stolen, and he is known as a hero. He has scars on his forearms. He was he was trapped in a place where they mined something called atium, which is a very expensive metal. So that's just from writing the backstory, not a big spoiler or anything, but just in that beginning, that prologue, you're hooked because you're like, what the heck is going on? Homie destroys a plantation house like that. Like, how did he do it? How is it going on? And then you get into the magic system of of everything, and you know some things. Like we then go to Vin, who is this little girl, not little girl, but she's this little lady who's maybe 16, and she is part of a thieving crew, and they're trying to do this big heist, or not really a heist, but a heist kind of thing. Basically a con job against the Inquisitors, or not the Inquisitors, God, what are they called? Cannot remember the name, but they're basically the clerics. They have these tattoos on their faces that just fill everything with, like, it's their status. So they're basically running a weird little thing on them, and Vin has this natural ability that she does not understand, where she can kind of push people's emotions. She calls it her luck. And she learns very quickly later on that that's not what it is. It's actually a part of the magic system called allomancy, where she's able to soothe people into doing what they want them to do, what she wants them to do. And that book is just, it's here, it's there, it's all over the place. We see Kelsey, we see Vin, we see Marsh, we see all kinds. It's got a huge cast of characters, and it's an incredibly, thick book. Like, it's a thick boy, and that's everything Sanderson writes. Even the Stormlight I call archives, which I haven't really gone into it. Everything's connected to the Cosmere, which is really freaking cool. Like, it's so intriguing to see how this works, but needless to say, Vin finds out that she is Mistborn, and Kelsier takes her under his tutelage, leading towards the idea and the want to kill this godlike figure and turn him into, and then take over from him. They're gonna unalive him and take over, but they don't know what they're getting into. Kelsier's already had things in the past happen that failed miserably and ended up in the death of his wife. And there's so much going on about who can you trust, who can you not trust, how can you fight against a government that isn't for you, a government that is trying to take you down, trying to keep you at the bottom. And it all turns into a very intricate set of things where Vin starts posing as a noble, and she goes to all these places to try to figure out where things are, mainly the atium, because it's the most valuable thing, and they're trying to create a revolution against the god, and there's a certain date, and all kinds of things happen without there being any spoilers, because I don't want to spoil anything because it's crazy, but I might have to spoil things because I want to do the whole series. So if you don't want a spoiler to the ending, you can stop here. I shall give you a few seconds. As you can tell, I really want to talk about it because it's crazy. In the end, it turns out that the Lord Ruler is just a regular guy, and there's these things that you're just reading about constantly, and he kills Kelsier in this very, big moment. They invade all the Skaal uprise, there's fires in the streets, and Vin and her friends end up in the castle, and they're fighting him. And she's able to sense and push on something within his, it turns out he's a fair ferrochemists, which are people who have like these braziers that they can pull from. And there's one that's one of their friends called Casid. But anyways, he's a ferrochemist and she's able to, but put his, what do you call them? Braziers, like inside of his skin. And in the end, they succeed. Like, Vin does the final blow. And I can't remember the exact wording, but it is the ultimate ending to a book for me, especially whenever Brandon didn't intend for there to be a sequel, at least not at first. He says, "You do not know what you have done." And she kills him. The Well of Ascension is coming, and that's the second book. The Well of Ascension is what apparently he had used, and they had been reading these old things. These old things have found out that, like these old writings have found out that he's not who they thought he was. The Lord Ruler was not the hero of ages. He was his friend who killed the hero of ages. And it's the ultimate little twist. And I've never felt the way I felt reading that book. The amazement, the craziness of figuring out the magic system where there's 10 metals that they can ingest and do different things like soothing, pushing, pulling. Basically, these people can do almost anything, and it's so crazy. It's so crazy. But in the end, they end up succeeding. And it's the dawn of a new government, kind of like our revolution here in the States. And it gets crazier, and everything just proceeds to continue moving from there. And I can't tell you, like it's one of my favorite books of all time, and any of y'all need to read it. And I know it's not horror, it's not what I've been talking about, but I love fantasy too. I love the idea of that, and I'm trying to incorporate that into my own work. But in my own work with my horror, my fantasy, it's all kind of merging together and my inspirations. And this book is one that anyone who loves fantasy should read. It's up there with Wheel of Time and The Lord of the Rings. It's that good. And Sanderson just knocks it out of the park. And that's the same with the whole trilogy, which I'll talk about the next one next week. But man, if you have not read Sanderson, you are in for a treat, because it is some of the most down-to-earth writing, but it keeps you engaged. It's not like Tolkien where it's overly expressive in ways. His stuff is very down-to-earth, but at the same time so expansive and so creative. So that's it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this little rant of mine, because I'm really excited about this book. Like, it's been one of my favorites, and he's announced that he's doing a third era of the Mistborn trilogy, or the Mistborn saga, and it might or might not be going into space, which I'm so excited for. But anyways, y'all have a good day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.